Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Joe Cool's audio picture blog of Long Live TNA. Today I'm going to be talking about Wrestlemania 23 and how terrible of a card it looks. The main event, John Cena and Shawn Michaels and Undertaker versus Batista. I should say main events. And also they're promoting Battle of the Billionaires. Donald Trump and Vince McMahon in the hair versus hair match with Umaga and Bobby Lashley supporting the two billionaires. And Stone Cold Steve Austin as the special guest referee. Wow. When did WrestleMania become such a load of crap? This is the first time I am not interested about a WrestleMania. And WrestleManias, usually they deliver such great matches that people are interested about. In the past, you've had tables, ladders, and chairs with Edge and Christian versus the Hardy Boys versus the Dudley Boys, now known as Team 3D. And everybody loved those matches. You know, they delivered. They were really great. The performers were awesome. I mean, you just don't see that hardly anymore. I mean, you got the ladder match, which is going to be the only good match there in my opinion, but I've always been a big fan of ladder matches, I suppose, just because they have such intensity. There's just so much. What's the word I'm looking for here? Yeah, there's just so much anticipation, suspense of what's going to happen next. I swear these guys, how do they not break a neck in these matches? But that's getting off the point. Anyways, the ladder match, Money in the Bank, that's going to be a good match. I will give WWE that. You've got Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy. You've got CM Punk, who is underrated on that show. Edge, which he always delivers in a ladder match, in my opinion. Randy Orton, I don't know how he's going to deliver in that match. I guess the guy's decent. He's a little bit young, and I guess the guy's character backstage is terrible, but I could give a damn about people's characters backstage, I suppose, to a sense. You gotta have passion, and maybe Randy Orton doesn't have so much passion for the business as, say, other people do over in TNA. But, they had to pick somebody. I personally would have picked Rob Van Dam, but they're using him in the ECW storyline, which I'll get to in just a little bit. King Booker, I've always been a fan of Booker T. He's decent, maybe he's not a high flyer, but he's entertaining to watch. But I hate his whole King Booker gimmick. I'd rather him just be Booker T. That's when everybody loved him, and I loved it when he was just plain old Booker T. And then you've got Finlay and Ken Kennedy in the match as well. Like I said, they had to pick somebody. Finlay and Ken Kennedy, maybe they aren't the best two, but them being in a ladder match, that alone is just going to make up for their lack of skill, I guess. Well, maybe Finlay isn't so much lacking in skill as, say, Ken Kennedy, because he is a veteran to the sport, but, like I said, they had to pick somebody, and it being a ladder match is going to make it better. So that is going to be the only good match in my opinion there. Moving on to the ECW versus the New Breed versus the Old School. I guess the storyline itself has potential, but it depends on how the people in the ring perform. Rob Van Dam is a great performer. I seriously hope that he joins TNA where his skills will be appreciated. And Sabu too. I hope Sabu goes back over to TNA and leaves the WWE. And Tommy Dreamer and Sandman could do so much better than that. Monty Brown, they call him Marcus Corvan now. Elijah Burke, Kevin Thorn and Matt Stryker. These guys, I guess they have potential. It's, with it being New Breed versus Old School, the storyline itself has got potential, but it's, whether that match is going to be a good one or not, I really can't say, because it all depends on how they perform. That's just my personal opinion. Okay, those are the only two really that I'm kind of concerned about. The others I really don't give a damn. Benoit versus MVP. I swear to God, if MVP wins the title from Chris Benoit, I'm going to say things that are not appropriate to say. Because Benoit is such a great performer. He is more technical, and MVP just sucks. He was in the right place at the right time, and they put him in mid-card status right away, which I think is a load of crap. But, Chris Benoit, I've said this before, he has so much passion for this business. He should be World Heavyweight Champion instead of United States Champion. And really, Chris Benoit, I hope they don't. I have a funny feeling they're going to make him lose, but I pray to God not, because they can use Chris Benoit. And you know what? If Chris Benoit does lose, then I hope they put him up there to main event status, because that's where he deserves to be. But unless that's going to happen, which I doubt that's going to happen, I hope Chris Benoit wins. Kane and the Great Khali. I'm just not even going to go too deep into that one. It's going to be simple. The Great Khali cannot wrestle. All he does in his matches is a couple karate chops, throws him out of the ring, that's the match. Maybe a one slam, but that's the match, and I don't give a damn about the Great Khali. Lashley versus Melina, the two women who cannot wrestle at a Wrestlemania, wrestling for the women's title. No, come on, you can do better than Melina and Lashley. Mickie James and Victoria would be good for WrestleMania 23, in my opinion. Maybe they're not as good as Lita or Trish Stratus matches were, but at least they can wrestle. I guess with a lot of the good wrestlers gone, they're bringing in a lot of models, that's a bunch of crap. We want to see women who can wrestle, but they're training Lashley and Melina, I suppose. If you want to have them wrestle for the women's title, not at WrestleMania 23. WrestleMania 23 is supposed to be their biggest pay-per-view, and you can do so much better than that. Okay, what else can I move on to here? What else is there going to be? There's going to be, like I said, Cena and Michaels, Batista and Undertaker, Lashley and Umaga, Battle of the Billionaires. Cena, Batista, and Lashley have no passion for the business, and them being main eventer, headliners of a WrestleMania pay-per-view is just a load of crap. Shawn Michaels, he's a good performer. In Umaga, he can only do a few good moves. What am I saying? He can't do any good moves. He can move. He's fast in the ring. He moves fast. I'll give him that. But other than that, he's got nothing. And the Undertaker, he's always entertaining to watch. Because it's just his character. He can support it with a few good moves. He may not be the best out there compared to Kurt Angle or Samoa Joe or Chris Benoit even, or Jeff Hardy, But, these guys, these main event status matches just aren't appealing because there's a lack of passion, there's a lack of talent. I personally would have loved to seen Undertaker and Shawn Michaels go at it at WrestleMania because it's never been done before. Two legends going at it, and in the main event, Batista and Cena, get them out of the main event, please. Vince McMahon, if you are listening to this, which I doubt you ever will, but get them out of main event status and get people with passion. Overall, on WrestleMania 23, I am not excited about it at all. The only two matches that I'm gonna pay attention to are the ladder match and the ECW original versus the New Breed, just because that's got a pretty decent storyline. But I think we all know that the New Breed's gonna win because Vince McMahon's not a big fan of the originals. But overall, don't order the pay-per-view. If you want to know what happens, go to a spoilers or figure out what happens after the night of WrestleMania 23. But save yourself the $50. Spend it on something else other than WrestleMania 23 because it is not worth watching this year. Okay, that is my input on WrestleMania 23 this year. You don't have to listen to me, but this is just my opinion. I strongly encourage you to listen, but if you don't want to, fine. That's it for tonight. I will be back next week to talk about the giants between the WWE and TNA. Until then, this is Joe Cool signing out. Have a good night.